What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got Justice League Red issue number 4. And if you guys haven't read the first 3 issues of this new series, then I'll give you a little bit of backstory. When the Justice League, the newest formation of the Justice League, reformed, Red Tornado realized that the threat of apocalypse was real, and that if he didn't do something and create a new team unbeknownst to the founding members of the Justice League, that their actions would cause the earth to be transformed into apocalypse, long story short. So the goal of this Justice League Red team is to stop these particular events from taking place without the knowledge of the main Justice League. And Red Tornado is the one behind all of this, pulling the strings and keeping the wool over the main Justice League's eyes. So if you guys are ready to find out how it is that Red Tornado can form this team to help the events of DCKO, to help the earth from not being transformed into apocalypse, then ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. Let's get it. So when we kicked this issue off, we met with a new hero called Red Canary. And it was actually in the previous issue, number 3 of Justice League Red, where the team had rescued the Red Canary without much knowledge of her, with the exception of Power Girl, who has dealt with her before. But the rest of the team had no knowledge of this new hero, Red Canary. But it was Red Tornado that explained to them in his way of explaining, which is not saying much. But he basically informed them that saving her would help with stopping these future events from taking place. So the team went out and they were able to rescue this girl. But now this issue kicks off with a little backstory from her during those events. And it starts off with her thinking to herself, over the past month, 3 Seattle area students have been found ritualistically murdered. Someone's been using college campuses as their hunting grounds. Being a student myself, I'd take that personally. Now, again, to catch you up a little bit, in the previous issue, number 3, when Red Tornado sent the team to rescue Red Canary, we were told that she was there to follow up on some ritualistic murders, but turns out that it was a trap. This group had been committing these murders in order to bring her in. She was the target. So we're getting this now from her perspective. But she continues that the trails led me here, an underground compound out in the boonies. I'd assumed the killings were the work of a lone sicko, but there's a whole damn cult here. I'm a solo newbie with no powers. Going in alone isn't exactly a genius move, I know. But what if they've got another victim in there right now? What if that person dies while I'm waiting for backup? No, I won't let that happen. But then she hears another sound, a creaking sound. And she's like, that sound, another hidden entrance. What? And this is when she finds out that it was a trap, as the leader of the cult tells her, we've been waiting so long, child, waiting for you. And then once he brings the girl in, he tells her, don't look so fearful, child. You've been marked, chosen by the Red. Yours will be a bleeding for the ages, a bleeding that will bless our blood tabernacle with power beyond any demons. So smile as Father Blood cuts you open. But that's when the new Justice League Red team comes in with Green Lantern and Cyborg. But then we pick back up after the rescue had taken place, as the Canary has now been brought to safety in front of Red Tornado, or at least a hologram of Red Tornado. But he wakes her up. Red Canary, can you hear my voice? And she's like, where am I? But then she remembers, wait, we're in space. Cyborg and Green Lantern saved me from that cult. And then that power I felt, that explosion. You see, another thing that happened in that issue, number 3, was at the very end. Now she knows, now she doesn't believe that she has powers, but at the very end of that issue, when Cyborg and Green Lantern were in trouble, she released a huge red power. But she had never done it before, doesn't know where it came from, or none of that. So that's where we're at with it. But she continues asking Red Tornado, did I kill those cultists? Those people? And he responds, you've been through a lot, Sienna. Trying to process all of it at once will just shut you down again. Let's start small, with reintroductions. I'm Red Tornado. I know how rattled you must be feeling, but the good news is that you're fine physically. Channeling the Red has exhausted you, but you're not injured. And she's like, wait, channeling the Red? And Red Tornado continues, there's a lot to fill you in on, but we should return to the rest of the team. They're worried about you, and I'll explain as best I can while we walk. And he continues to tell her, the murders you were investigating were bait by the Blood Tabernacle. Bait laid for you. And she questions. She has no idea why anybody would go through the time of using her as bait. She's a nobody. Why be after me? Why not go after Black Canary or Green Lantern or somebody like that? But Tornado tells her this because you're more powerful than all of them combined by many orders of magnitude. And she's like, wait, you're talking about that energy that just took control of me? And he says, yeah, but you got it backwards. The energy didn't take control of you. You commanded it. And she's like, how did I command it? I don't even know what the hell it is. And she's like, wait, but that room full of people. And you said that the cultists killed those students just to lure me out of it? So if it wasn't for me, they'd still be alive. And she's still blaming herself for all of these events. And Red Tornado has to stop her, like, please hear me out. That's not how this works. Father Blood and his cult are responsible for all of those deaths. Full stop. End of story. Myself, Power Girl, Green Lantern, Cyborg, every one of us was new to this at some point. Just like you. Every one of us was clumsy with our own power. But there is greatness within you. In fact, I believe you have the potential to outshine all of us. And she's like, well, how do you know my name, by the way? And he's like, I know everyone's name. Super stalker. But he's like, we'll talk more later. For now, it's past time that we returned to the rest of the team. Meanwhile, we didn't pick up with the rest of the team, and Cyborg is talking with Power Girl and Deadman, who also just joined the team at the end of issue 3. You guys go back and check out these first 3 issues. A lot of stuff happens, especially in issue 3. But Power Girl is catching up with Deadman. She's like, Superman told me a little bit about you. You're a ghost, right? And aren't you usually invisible? And meanwhile, Cyborg's trying to get some answers too, because Red Tornado just brought Deadman on without really telling anybody why, and Deadman has not opened his mouth not once. But they basically realize that Deadman is giving them the silent treatment, and eventually Red Tornado and Red Canary rejoin the team. And Cyborg is the first to say, yeah, we're glad to see you back on your feet, Red Canary. But we also got a lot of questions specifically for Red Tornado, because again, there's a lot being hidden from the team, and they were just formed in a hurry, but not a whole lot of explanation was given. But Power Girl continues with starting with why you lied to us. And Red Tornado's like, lied? I didn't lie. And then he stops himself. No, you're absolutely right. I should have been more open with you, with all of you from the start. I worry sometimes that I've been so focused on the future that I've lost sight of what's in front of me. I worry that I've forgotten how to be a friend. I've forgotten so much about being a person. I suppose it's the cost of giving up my body. I started building a new body, of course, but the anti-catastrophe models all said its components were better used elsewhere. I've been appearing to you all as a hologram because I didn't want to unsettle you. But you're right. It's time I put my cards on the table, as he opens up the room and shows that he completely tore his body apart. And Cyborg's like, good Lord. Tornado, why? Your central CPU, you've repurposed all of the systems that mimic human brain function. It's all just computing power now. And Power Girl agrees, ditto with your main power source. These systems were built, almost lovingly built, to simulate human heart function. Now they're all just fuel for AI modeling. And Green Lantern's like, you did this to yourself? And Red Tornado answers that I had to. And every agonizing cut and severed emotion has been worth it. Because I have finally isolated the event that makes Earth's impending apocalypsification inescapably permanent. That chain of events cascades out from the effects of an arcane ritual called the Feast of Worlds, a ritual about to be performed by Black Adam. And now Cyborg jumps in. That's the second time you claim he's somehow the catalyst for Darkseid's end times. Hell, you suggested assassinating the man. How about you show us some evidence? So Red Tornado sends the evidence that he has, sends all of the models that he has to Cyborg so he can show it on his HUD. And then he also gives data pads to the other heroes so they can see the information. And Red Canary is like, what am I looking at? And Green Lantern, he tries to act cool like he knows what it is, but he has no clue either. But Red Tornado continues, this is it. I'm sharing everything with you. Power Girl, Cyborg, maybe one of you can find a flaw in my modeling. Tell me I'm wrong. I'd give anything to be wrong. But when they look over it, they're both realizing that no, you're not wrong. It's a perfectly straight line of causality. Black Adam, Great. This ritual, is this really possible? Cyborg asked. And Power Girl was just like, cut through all of the occult babble, and it's basically a tool for consuming other planets, using them as a personal energy source. Black Adam's planning to make himself even stronger by committing planetary genocide. Tornado's right, we have to stop this. Now the truth is out there on the table, and these guys are kind of finally coming aboard with Tornado's plan. Well, at least that he's right in the future, maybe not necessarily his plan per se. As Green Lantern jumps in like, wait, hold on, time out. That ritual sounds messed up, no doubt, like really messed up. But what the hell's it got to do with the Earth getting turned into Apocalypse 2.0? What's one got to do with the other? Which is a good question. And Red Tornado answers that the Feast of Worlds culminates in a sort of self-sacrifice that will transform Black Adam into something else. Thus transformed, he will use his newfound power to force his way into an impending battle against apocalyptic forces, hoping to seize Darkseid's power for himself. And he's talking about during that KO tournament. So what I'm hearing is basically Black Adam's trying to juice himself up so he can win this tournament. But Red Tornado continues, Black Adam will do this in hopes of saving Earth. In his eyes, only he has the strength to stand against Darkseid. But in every single timeline I've mapped out, he succumbs to the power, becoming its servant and dooming the Earth to an eternal apocalyptic death. So now Green Lantern is like, yeah, okay, I think we got to bring in a JLU on this. But remember, this team is brought together in secret. The original Justice League can't have any knowledge of this. Red Tornado told them at the very beginning of this that every model that he ran, every time one of them found out, it inevitably brought upon Apocalypse. So Power Girl was like, well, we can't tell the others, because, and this is when Cyborg tells the team that same thing that I just said, because in every instance we do, Black Adam is alerted and completes the ritual before we reach him. So the rest of the team is now giving their word that they're going to be involved, that they're going to go ahead and trust the team and go along with the plan. And Red Tornado tries to thank him, but Power Girl is pissed off. She's like, save it. Let me be very clear about one thing. We're not killing anybody, but somebody has to go to Kahndaq to keep this from happening. So then we meet up with the team at the Palace of Kahndaq about an hour later, and they start putting BTA belt to ass. But then after they whoop ass of all of these guards, they're met with someone else who's like, company, I would offer you a civilized welcome of fruit, wine, and words of honorable hospitality, but I don't recall inviting you. As it's revealed that that's Black Adam. And he's like, so tell me why I should not crush you like insects for invading my home. But Power Girl, she doesn't waste any time, and she flies in. She's like, oh crap, he was cloaking himself with magic. And tells the team, be careful, because this guy gives Superman a run for his money. Meanwhile, Black Adam with a smile on his face, he's like, not in the mood for dialogue, dude. Oh, so you don't want to talk? All right, bet. Remember then, you chose this, not me. And then he pulls out a kryptonite sword and knocks the stuffing out of Power Girl. He's like, this is the price of your belligerent folly, Kryptonian. Was it worth it? But then Green Lantern jumps in to save his teammate. Back off, big man, I'll keep you company. And Black Adam was like, amusing. But let us see how your Owen tricks fare when faced with the power of the Rod of Anubis. And he activates the power of fear itself. And now Green Lantern is pretty much out of this fight because he's seeing all kinds of hell right now. Leaving Cyborg to jump in. GL! Damn it! But he's got all kinds of weapons. He's like, I didn't show up empty-handed. Got a housewarming gift for you. And he unleashes everything at Black Adam that does absolutely nothing. Black Adam was like, ha ha ha. Are you serious? And then he zaps Cyborg, knocking all of the guns and everything completely off of him in an instant. But then the new girl, Black Canary, she runs up. Leave him alone. And Black Adam just backhands her. He's like, you are all so convinced it's your destiny to save the world. It's embarrassing. But then Red Canary with her bloody nose gets up and her eyes light up red. I said leave them alone. And Black Adam is like, now this is interesting. And she's like, don't make me hurt you. And he's like, such power. You could crush mountains with that strength. If you had any idea how to use it. And then he knocks her out once again. But you too have let your pride ensnare you in the deranged schemes of a man who is not a man at all. And now, just look at the miserable end your little team has come to as he stands triumphantly over Power Girl and the rest of the teams. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the issue. So what y'all think, man? Are you guys gonna go back and read the first 3 issues of this Justice League Red? I think it's pretty dope, and I think it's worth a read. I did check them out before I got going with this, and if I can find the time, I'll go back and make some videos. But regardless of the fact, I think it's a nice series that you guys should check out, and it definitely ties into the DCKO event. Even though it's not labeled as such, you can see that it definitely affects DCKO. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. How do you think this is going to affect Black Adam when it's his time to fight in a tournament? Do you think he's going to be all jacked up on Mountain Dew? You guys don't want to hear all your thoughts and theories on how this is going to affect the KO tournament going forward, and what do you guys what are you thinking about this team and this Red Canary? What is her power? How is she going to affect the story going forward? I want to hear all your thoughts and theories. And as always, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. And you can do this channel a huge service by dropping a like, sharing this video, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't, because we get down over here. This is the best place to come for all of the best icons in the comic book world. And you can also help your boy out by hitting that hype button, so this video could get played in front of not just comic book fans, but all of the YouTube fans worldwide. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out.